Okay, let's start. Today we are going to start with the functions and methods, guys. Okay, function and methods. See, in the first place, what is the difference between function and method? A function is a reusable block of code designed to perform specific task in the Python. Because in the C++ we have also function and methods, but we don't call method in the C++. The basic difference between that, the class possesses the methods, not a function, but function is included in the what? In the file or .py file or importing file, okay? And so it exists, this function, independently or globally and is not tied to any class or object, because in the Python we have only objects that are related to the what? To the methods and the functions, but functions is not tied or the linked with any class or it's related to object. And so we can conclude that in contrast, a method is a function that belongs to a class, okay? And so it operates on the data, or we call it in the Python attributes, okay, of an instance. This is the basic difference between the function and the method, guys. And so function, a global subprogram that's not included in any class. An example can be given by with the what? Def at with the parameters of the a, b, and we can return a plus 1 b, okay? And also we can print the at 3 5. This is the example of the what? The function. And so I can run this program just like this one. See, we have the 8, okay? But the method is the subprogram that's contained in a class and called through an object. Okay, for the class example we can write this one, class my class. You don't need to anything about this class, just like this one, def read self, and so print hello. This is a method, okay? And after that we can create this object just like this one, my class, and this object can be returned with the what? With the function, or within a class we call it the method, okay? This is the example of the what? Method, okay? And so the key difference between them is the function can be written or called directly, but method called through an instance, okay? List append, str upper, or my class greet, for example, okay? Especially for the Python programming, there are two main functions concepts, which means that the function definition, defining how the function behaves or how operates this function, and also we should define the function calling, okay, executing the defined function with arguments. For example, in this case we define this function just like this one, def add a and b, return a plus 1. This is describes to the what, how the function behaves. But in order to call or execute this program, we need to write just like this one, add with the one terms of 3 and the others is 5. Okay. In the Python, the syntax or the prototype can be given by with the what. Firstly, we need to give the function name in here, and we should open a brackets in here just like this one, the parentheses, and also we should give the argument list in here. For example, def multiply x and y and return x, y. Multiply is the function name, x and y argument list in here. We can increase or decrease the number of these terms in here, and so x and y returns to the what, x times y. Okay, and print multiply, for example 5 6. Okay, just like this one, 30. This is how we can define the functions in here. And so the function definition introduces logic into memory, while function calling triggers its execution. Okay, so we store the function definition into our memory with the address values, and so if you want to call this function, we should trigger or we should go to this address to execute it. Okay, for example, we have the built-in function like print. Okay, this is predefined function, just remember the previous lesson, guys. Okay, and so print 5 is to what, returns to the 5. Okay, or we can write the 5 and b is defined 1 and print a and b. We have 2 arguments right now, not 1. Okay, and so if we run 5 and 1 is returns. Okay, so we need to note that these 2 terms in here, just like this one, the print is a built-in function, not the method. Okay, and also it's user-defined functions happens in the what, in the Python via def, work similarly but can have any desired name and the parameters, which means that we need to define the function name and the argument list in Python, guys. Okay. These are the basic definition between the functions and the methods. Okay, so in Python we have a special keywords. Just remember the previous lesson, is and is not. Okay, for these definitions we need to write these notes. In the Python, is and is not, just like the identical with the what with the C++, are the identity operators. But in Python, and so they check whether two variable reference the same memory address. Unlike the equal operator, which is compares the values. Is compares to what, guys? Addresses. Or object identity. Okay? So, what about this one? For example, A is B. This returns true if A and B refer to the same object in memory. Okay? And it returns to the false otherwise. Okay? For example, if I choose the what to set this one, A is equal to 5, B is equal to 5, what's the result of this term? True. But what about this one? 7. This is false. Okay? But what about this one? What's the result of these terms? A is 5. Anyone can answer that? True. Why? Because in this case we have the runtime error, but it's not syntax error, but it returns to what? True. Because the 5 is the identical with the what? With the A. Because it's just an address for the any variable in this system. Okay? And so it returns to the what? True. But otherwise we don't have this kind of operations. Okay? So what about this one? The print new line gives us the empty new line in here. And so A is 6, B equals A, and C equals 6. Okay? And so what's the results of these terms? A is B. Abdullah. True. Why? Because in this case we have the same two literal. Yes, they address the 6. Correct. What about this one? C is 7. And so the print A is C. What's the results? False. Because 6 is not equal to what? 7 in the address notation. But what about this one? The print A is not C. This is true, right? This is the basic arguments for the what? For understanding the concept of the X. Okay? Any question? So, if we don't have any question, we need to give some important details in here, just like this one. The is operator checks to what? The identity, not equality. But the equal operator checks values or literals, right? In here. For example, if I choose the what, creating the list 1, 2, 3 and y 1, 2, 3. This is a list, but we don't know anything about it, but just assume that right now. X and y. What's the values of this outcome? Anyone? True, because it's identical in values. But what about this one? X is Y. What's the outcome of this result? This is not true, because two separate list objects created in memory, guys. Okay? The list has, or tuples or dictionary has this kind of property because it's not only to what? To variable. It's giving to what? Address of the address. Okay? This Y keeps all the time address of the address. We will talk about it. Okay? But we need to give these examples. Okay? So, what about this one? X is equals to the none, and so the print X is none. What's the outcome of these results? What's the result? Is it true? Can anyone answer besides them? Okay. It is true. Okay, but what is the result of this term right now? If I'm using the equal operator in here, what's the result? This is not a list. Yes, true again, but if this is the list, and then we have the different or the false results in here, just like this one. Okay, and so it checks if two variables point to the same object, but equal operator compares if their values are the same. These two lists are separate things, but the X contained to the what? 1, 2, 3. These are the letters, but the separate objective values of these terms. Okay? This is how we can handle is and is not operator in the Python programming language. Okay? So, in the next session, we need to talk about the operators in Python, guys. Okay? Operators. And so, what's the meaning of the operators? In Python programming language, we have 5 types of operators, like arithmetic, for example, plus, minus, multiplication, and we have the comparison operator, greater, bigger, smaller, smaller equal, greater equal, and something like that. Okay, and also we have the logical operators and or, and also bitwise operator in here, ampersand, or, tilde, not, and we have the special purpose operators. For example, is in order to compare the any variable addresses in here, and in is used in the what in a list or the for loops at these moments. Okay, so in the Python, operators are symbols that perform specific operations on operands. What's the meaning of the operands? This plus is an operand, but this is a result to the what? To some functions or some methods, or it analyzes or describes or calculates some process in here. Okay, and so each operator has its own precedence, priority. Okay, and related rules. Okay, unlike C or C++, guys, the Python operators always produces object. Which means that we have the dynamically typed formation in here. In C++, we cannot convert to anything to the any type by using the operators. But in Python, if we apply these operators, maybe integer results to the what to the double or the list or the anything like that. But in C or C++, we don't have kind of these operations in here. And so the operators can also be overloaded in classes using special methods. For example, add. This is special name of for a given function, equal or lt. Okay. So do you know anything about the overloading mechanism in C++, guys? Have you tried this topic in the previous course? Arkadaşlar operatör overloading'i C++'da görmüş müydünüz? Hatırlayan var mı? Eğer söylerseniz bu operatör overloading'i de size anlatabilirim. C++ dersinde görmediniz mi operatör overloading? Sınıf yapısı, klas yapısı. Bir ondan emin olun arkadaşlar ya. Okay. So firstly we need to start with the arithmetic operators in Python. Firstly, if one operand is float, the results becomes float. Arkadaşlar yalnız bu C++ dersinde kesinlikle metot ve klas yapısını görmeniz lazım yani hani çok korkunç bir durum bu. Ama yani söylediğiniz iyi oldu. Yani diğer dersteki yapılmayan şeyi en azından burada telafi etme şansımız olur. Integer division. This is special kind of operator / in here truncated the decimal part. Okay. So we have the special operator in here, the modulus percentage, okay, work for negative numbers. Aside from the what or difference from the C or C++ programming language, okay. And so the exponentiation can be given with the star as right left associativity in this language. Don't worry, we'll solve these equations or the examples right now. Okay. And so Python has no plus or minus operators. Use instead of these things plus or minus equal 1. Okay. So print new line. We need to understand these terms by creating the example session. If you want to analyze or to understand the Python programming language, we need to write a code and we need to find out what's the syntax error and the runtime error. In Turkish, arkadaşlar bu dersi öğrenmek istiyorsak kesinlikle kod yazmalıyız. Kod yazmazsak biz bu dersi öğrenemeyiz. Zaten bu da doğru bir öğretim yöntemi olmaz. Yani burada mesela atıyorum ben size sorular soracağım. Soru sordukça siz cevaplamaya çalışın. Hatalarımız var. Ben soruları öyle bir seçtim ki zaten bunlar hatalı ya da böyle şaşırtmalı sorular oluyor. Diğer türlü dilin kurallarını anlamazsınız. Okay. What is the results of these terms in here? What is the result? Just tell me. For example, you can choose the sum and say Beren. What's the result of this print? We don't have any Beren. Emre Göral. Okay. Kaan Kavlak. What's the results? Or the outcome? If you don't know the answer, just write to the chat. I don't know. Okay. Okay. 2.5. See? Congratulations, Kaan. Because it's not an integer division. But if I choose two these terms, just like this one, b 12.4, print b. What's the values of the b in here? Integer or float? Anyone? See? This is the float value. Because this returns always the float, not the integer one, guys. Okay? 3.0. Okay? This returns the float value. But what if 10 /4? What's the result of the C in here? Int 2, right? Because it's integer division. Okay? What's the result of the 10 modulus operator 4? Print D. What's the result of the D? Okay, this is the 2, right? And so, what is the result of the 10 dot modulus 4? Print E. What's the result for the E? Just see that this is the float value, and so it must be returned what the float value in here. This 2 and 2 is not the same. One of them is in the type of the float, the other one is the integer. This is different, okay? So what if we should choose the 10.2 and 4? What's the results of the F right now? Anyone? See, we have this kind of operation here because the 10.2 is a float value, just like that this one, because this is a precise 10 number. 10 can be converted into float or float to the integer, but this must be into the what? Into the space of the float. And so these results come from the what? 2.19999 blah blah blah. Okay? This is the difference. And so what is the values of the G in here? G minus 11 modulus 4. This is a negative number. And so if we have the negative number, just see that this returns to the 1. But why? Because it's minus 12, and so 1 is the percentage values of this term just now. Okay? Just remember that. 2 over 10. What is the result of these terms? H. What's the outcome? Or we can say the 4 in here. What's the value of the H right now? Yeah, 16, because it's the over operator in here. And so what is the result of this term? A 2 times 1.2. Print A. Okay? This is equal to 2.29. Okay? You don't need to know what's the exact results. Just see that we can apply the float values over 2. Or we should remember that the types are important for the what? For our process in the Python programming language. This returns to the float, but this returns to the integer value. Especially for the Python, Python has the dynamically typed system based, which means that if you want to return to the integer, you must guarantee it in this language. In Turkish, arkadaşlar bakın, bir şeyi float döndürmek istiyorsanız kesinlikle bunu garanti altına almalısınız. Çünkü Python bunu hata olarak görmez. Çünkü dinamik olarak verileri zaten anlık olarak türlerini belirliyor. C ve C++'da bu durum yoktur. We don't have such kind of mechanism in C or C++. We will get an error if we run this program in the C++. But in Python, we don't have any syntax error. This is runtime error. But you may have not seen this anything in here. Okay? Any question?
Hocam bir soru sorabilir miyim?
Yes.
Ya, eksi 11'i 4'e böldüğümüzde kalan niye 1 geldi anlamadım.
Because we have minus 12 in here. In C++, we don't have such kind of this operation for the negative numbers. But just see that percentage 4 is equals to what? So 11 minus 11 is operated in here, or just see this picture. In order to understand how we executed this program in Python, you just need to write the example. For example, what is the result of the G right now? And so it's 0. Okay. And so what is the result of these terms? 10. So 2. Okay. What's the result of this one? 9. Okay. See, in order to understand how Python works, you should write the program and see the results. Arkadaşlar, bakın, mesela diyelim ki siz mühendis olacaksınız, bunu bilmiyorsunuz. Şimdi soruyu kim sordu bana?
Ben sordum.
İsmin ne? Bir daha söylesene.
Ahmet Kerem.
Ahmet, mesela bak, sen buradan ne anlıyorsun? Mesela ben senin yanında yokum ve bu dilin nasıl çalıştığını öğrenmek istiyorsun. Bak ben hemen nasıl yaptım? Eksi 12'yi koydum. Ya eksi 10'dan olacak eksi 4. Şimdi bu nasıl çalışıyor? Bana söyler misin?
Yani
akıl yürüt. Hiç şey yapma. Bak eksi 12'de 4 vermiş. 4'te 0 vermiş. Eksi 10'da Allah Allah 2 vermiş. Eksi 9'da 3 vermiş. Bak sen şimdi eksi 8'de alıyorsun ama sanki bu tersten sayıyormuş gibi oluyor değil mi? Anladın mı?
Ona kadar üstüne ekliyor gibi.
Aynen, yani bak eksi 12, eksi 10'da 2, bak eksi 9'da 3. Yani bak bu eksi 12'den 9'a geliyor. Ama sen bunu pozitif yapsan tam tersi olur. C++'da böyle bir mekanizma yok. Yani mesela ben senin yanında değilim ama bunu analiz etmek istiyorsun. Ne yaparsın? Böyle farklı farklı örnekler koyup bu analizi genişletebilirsin Ahmet. Anladın?
Deneme yanılmayla.
Aynen öyle. Çünkü bak ben de öyle öğreniyorum. Aslında herkes öyle öğreniyor. Ama ben sizin yanınızda yokken bu budur demediğim sürece siz ne yapacaksınız? Ya şunu bir hadi bakalım farklı bir rakamla deneyelim ve bunun sonucu ne oluyor bir görelim, öğrenelim falan diyeceksiniz siz arkadaşlar. Anladınız mı? Ben de bu şekilde keşfediyorum dili. Yani sizden farklı bir durumda değilim aslında. Okay? In order to understand how the Python operates on this operation, you need to write the different examples in order to understand the outcomes of these terms. Okay? So, this is one example session. And so we need to continue with the in priority level. We have right to left priority in Python. But what's the meaning of this? The operators plus, minus, and etc. precedence which operation is performed first. You need to the Python decide which one is the first operated or the executed. Okay? For example, just see, in order to solve or crack how Python behaves, print new line, print 2 over 4 over 2. What's the result of these terms in here? Anyone? Arkadaşlar, konuşmaktan korkmayın. Siz daha yeni öğrenen insanlarsınız. Yeni öğreniyorsanız saçmalayabilirsiniz de, yanlış da olabilir. Ama bir akıl yürütün. Soldan mı sağdan mı, hangisi burada daha önce yapılır sizce? Ya da yazın direkt. Yes, 2/16, right? Because if we write these terms and 65,536 values is given in here, 2/16, okay? And so, which means that we need to write that the exponentiation Python evaluates from right to left. Firstly, right is operated, and after that the result of 4/2 is operated with what, 2/16 in here. But what's the result of these terms? We have the parentheses in here, 4/2. In that case, what's the outcome? Yes, 12/2. Why? Because the parenthesis is the first to be operated in here. Okay? And so, what is the result of these terms? 2 times 3/2. What's the result of this term right now? No, yes, 18. Because Python sees that code just like this one. Okay? So if it's true, and then well done, Mustafa. See, we can analyze the whole operators based on this one. Okay? So especially for we need to write that the multiplication has lower precedence than exponentiation, right? In Turkish mean, yani üssü ifadesi daha öncelikli Python'da. Burada. O yüzden zaten bu şekilde yapılıyor. Okay. Next level. Print. New line. And so the print minus 3. What's the result of these terms? If I run this program, the print returns to the what? -3. But why, Ahmed? Why? See, in Python, these operators are evaluated just like this one. If we have 3 minus operator in here, yes, this one, okay? And so what about this? 10 minus 5. What's the result of this term? 5. Yes, and so Python sees this operator just like this one. 10 minus parenthesis minus, which is equals to what? To 5. Okay? And so what about this? The print 10 minus 4 minus plus 5. What's the outcome of this operator? 15. Because we have the minus, the Python sees this operator just like this one. Minus 5, and it returns to what? The 15. Okay? See? What about this one? Plus, minus. What's the result? Yes, again, it's a 15 because the Python sees the same structure with this one. Okay? And so if I'm true, so minus 3, 5, 15, 15. Okay. And so what about this one? The print minus 2 over 2. What's the results? Just remember the exponentiation operator. Minus 4 because the exponentiation has the highest precedence level, then minus. Okay, and so the firstly this over operator is executed in here. But what about this one? The print minus 2 over 2. Now 4 because we have the parentheses. Okay, so this is the examples in here, just like this one. And so we need to give the what that there is no increments or decrement operator in Python, guys. Okay, unlike the C or C++, Python doesn't support the plus or the minus operator. For example, in order to understand this one, we need to write the examples. X is equals to the 0 and x plus print x. If I'm running this code, and so this is invalid syntax, but if I'm using the plus equal 1, and so see that this is correct. Okay, this modify the object's value if it's mutable or rebind the variable otherwise. Okay, just remember that. Any question? If you don't have any question, and so we will have the 15 minutes break, and after that we will continue with the comparison operators, guys. Okay.